Strap in and get ready. This is the Wild Will Throwdown. We're your all-access pass to the world of short track racing, covering everything from regional results to national highlights. Each episode, we dive into upcoming schedules and bring you exclusive interviews with special guests from the heart of the motorsports industry. Now, here is your host, Wild Will Greenwell.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wild Will Throwdown, season number 5 in 2026, celebrating 5 years of the Wild Will Throwdown. It is quite impressive. We are blessed to be here each and every time. And now on the hotline, I'll go on and introduce the two co-hosts of the Wild Will Throwdown. We'll start with you, Mr. Hawk Harold Adams, and welcome back as we're trying to fix your volume a little bit. Think we made a good step in this week's episode.
Yep, we got some new equipment, so we'll see how everybody responds to that, and hopefully they can hear me. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we'll try it out.
Hey, no doubt. And Dalton Conner, the S word sticking around. I'm about tired of the snow.
Yeah, I was about to say, this snow, it just keeps flirting with us up here. It's been calling for snow the past 2 or 3 nights, and we've barely got anything. So it's keeping us on our toes up here.
Well, down here in Jasper, I think we've got the worst out of everyone. We got about 14.5 inches if you've been keeping up with my social media handles and all of that fun stuff. But, man, what a great episode we got today. One of the most talked about guests coming on a little bit later on, Mr. Leonard Basham, the now Kentuckiana Auto Racing Hall of Fame member, the class of 2025. So pretty cool to see him come on here and talk about his highlights and what a storied figure 8 career in auto racing in general, both at the Jeffersonville Sportsdrome Speedway and the Indianapolis Speedrome. We're going to talk about that. But first, I want to go over something I posted earlier this week, launching the brand new Wild Will Winners Club coming out here soon. And this is something that my wife and I put together. We didn't want to release details until we got the fine print out, but we came out with a good thing. And if you're now joining us and you haven't seen my Facebook post, basically, and I'm telling you now, the engagement in the post when I posted this, already 20,000 views on that post. Basically, it's going to be $40 per year. It'll go March to November. That'll be averaging $440 a month. Basically, automatically, you get a free hat and a nice ballpoint pen when you sign up. Basically, the other benefits are $3 off the Wild Will t-shirt. That'll be $12 instead of $15. There will be 2 drawings per month. One's going to be a bigger prize from some local businesses and whatnot. And automatically, another giveaway going to be a pair of tickets to one of 4 tracks so far. That is either the Sportsdrome Speedway, Salem Speedway, our friends at the Winchester Speedway, and our friends at Anderson. So that's going to be cool that they got involved. The drawings are going to take place on the 1st and 3rd Sundays of the month. And basically, we're doing this because we're supporting our veterans, investing back in equipment, newer equipment, and, of course, more merchandise. And that leads me to a kind of a big news that I have not broke on social media this week, that later in next week, we will be debuting the brand new website for all of the Wild Will merchandise. That will be where you find the black and purple t-shirt and a brand new item in 2026, the Carrier Wild Will Throwdown blanket. Yes, indeed, that is coming out this year in about a few weeks. So, guys, we're making strides here.
Yeah, I tell you what, this time of year right now, blanket sounds pretty good actually. So, you know how the weather is cold at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season. So that should be a good deal there.
Hey, you know what? We're always trying to invest. We're always trying to turn the wheel a little bit. The club is kind of up and going. We've already had quite a bit of people message us wanting to pay. But if you are wanting to take part in that, and we're going to have more information on that, like I told in that post-press release today, basically – next week, I'm going to launch a post. Everyone can pick their numbers on that feed. I will go, and whoever posted that number first will get that if they pay. They will have a certain amount of time to put those payments in. And we do take everything from Cash App to Zelle to Venmo to PayPal. We are an LLC, so we do take credit cards, Apple Pay, we take it all. And, of course, Code Hard Cash. So, basically, that is going to happen next week. We're going to launch that. The first, of course, it kicks off March 1st, just about less than a month away. But Guys, it's going to be a great year in the racing world. We're already hearing different news and different articles. Today, at the end of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about the Florida deal coming up, Showtime Speedway and Speedweeks. Dirt Nationals is going on right now at Volusia. You have Newsom Murder getting ready to fire up down there in Florida. You got Showtime, Auburndale. The list goes on, and we're going to get all of that here shortly. But today, the topic of the week, as of course everyone has came to love on this program, Mr. Dalton Conner, this week it is yours. Of course, besides myself, you are the first co-host to choose the topic of the week here on this beautiful, beautiful day in February.
All right, so you kind of just mentioned it, talking about the Florida races coming up in the next few weeks and all that. So when we talk about Florida Outlaw Figure 8 races, I just want to highlight some drivers that just instantly pop into your mind. I'll take the easy one. I'll say that. So Mark Tunney, I mean, he's won six times down there in Florida, multiple second places, third places. It's hard not to think just the Mark Tunney dominance when you think about down south in the Sunshine State. So I'll ask Will first. What driver besides Mark now would pops into your mind when you think of down there in the Florida Figure 8 area?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. I kind of revert back to 2024, I believe it was, I want to say, or maybe 2020, I think 24, the Winter Storm Series, when I did that tour with Tori and Kevin and the gang. We called those 3 races, and it was very, very interesting to see the 3 different tracks we went to. Of course, the first kicked off in, I believe it was Auburndale, then we went to Citrus, and then, of course, Freedom Factory. But, there's a couple guys that come to my name, but I'll keep it fair. You look at Troy Hughes and what he did at Auburndale that year and what he's done down there. He picked up, of course, a Showtime win before. So Troy Hughes definitely. But, I got to go, of course, looking at Jeffrey Shackelford in that 28 car. He picked up steam down there and, of course, later into the years here at Speedrome. But Jeffrey Shackelford knows how to get around any racetrack. I know Garrett. First and foremost, Garrett doing a heck of a job right now with Tristan Chamberlain right now on the dirt late model and the modified down there at Volusia. So great to see that young man advance coming from the 28 stable. But Jeffrey Shackelford going to be a threat. I mean, I have to say Troy Hughes too. I mean, I can't just give one. I'll leave Harold some names there. But, looking at Troy Hughes' resume, he got a podium spot that year we went down in Auburndale. And then, of course, picked up the win before the actual Winter Storm Series kicked off, picked up that win in Florida at Showtime. So the Double Deuce, he's going to be hard to beat as well. I'll throw it to you, Harold Adams.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to take a little bit of a different angle on this because you're talking about what drivers come to mind, okay? I'm talking about Florida Outlaw drivers. I'm actually thinking of Florida drivers. And just when I think of Florida Outlaws, I think of the guys that's been doing this stuff for a long time, used to race, and now they build cars. Talking about Gordon Brown and John Laval. Those guys used to have cars and race up here at the 3-hour for many, many years. They still come up every year to the 3-hour, bring a car, maybe 2 or 3 sometimes. But, of course, Gordon Brown is the guy that builds all these different cars like the K9 bus, which is so popular with the fans. It's so cool. But those guys just keep on, and they get different drivers. They've had Michael Cherry, Sean Sinicosa. I can't even think. Who was the guy that drove it last year? Dalton, you might remember.
Cody Williams, maybe?
Yeah, there you go, Cody Williams. I figured you'd be able to get that. But it's so cool. Those guys, they're getting up there in age, but then they just love to keep building these cars, and they love to come up to the 3-hour. And that's just what I think of when I hear of Florida Figure 8. So I think those guys are cool.
No, you're
yeah. Even Shane Grigsby too. Got to throw him out there. Ever since I went down to Florida the past few years, he's always seems to be there and running pretty good. So shout out to him too.
Yeah, no doubt. And those guys are going to be tough. I mean, you look at the home crowd, of course, when Cody Stickler raced as well. Don't know who's going to be in that race. Don't know who's going to be out. You can follow along at the Showtime Speedway Facebook outlet for all of Yoho's interesting takes. I know that, and it's always entertaining. So, I mean, it's Florida, February, and I always loved going down. Obviously, times have changed now that we have a little more responsibilities in what we're doing, so we don't get to go down as much. But, I'm excited for that. I think it's a huge month of February for racing, and it's going to be fun to see how everyone kind of takes to the track there at Showtime. We saw some earlier posts on who was actually going, who was committed, who's in, who's out, questions about the schedule. I did see, and this is very, very unfortunate, that they were not streaming the races. I did get confirmation from that. So that kind of sucks for all of us here stuck in the cold weather, not having something to watch on Saturday or Friday nights. So that's always a bummer.
Yeah,
that is.
That definitely sucks.
Yeah, because
go ahead, Harold.
I was just going to say, so for several years, I've gone down there to the Florida races, but not going to make it this year. And this is the one year I really wish that they would stream it for everybody, for us to see it, because I would love to watch that.
All right, Dalton, you go ahead.
Yeah, for sure. I just don't understand why it's not being streamed. I feel like you could make a lot of money if you stream it the right way, give good coverage. You could make a lot of money and pay for it, some of your purse that you're paying out. So in my eyes, it's just another moneymaker. So maybe I'm stupid and that's why I don't have a racetrack to promote and own, but I don't know. That's just my thinking on it.
Well, it's kind of a cutthroat situation. I don't know who he has or what he wants to do, if he figures he makes more money not having to pay a percentage. I don't know that, and that's another topic of the week I'm sure we could get into on the reasoning behind on what he does and the madness. But, I do want to say, I'm not going to announce anything, but I do want to make note of Mike Gibson. He is going to be down there promoting the 60th Annual Midwestern at the Sportstrom Speedway. Not going to give anything away. I'll let them announce that. But Mike has talked to me about what they're planning to do for the drivers, and this being the 60th rendition of the Midwestern, longest figure eight race in the nation. I'm very excited about that. And, of course, that race and the meaning of it and everything that's going to happen for the sport of figure eight racing here in 2026. I think it's going to be great, and that it's beautiful because it leads into our very special guest today, and that's Leonard Basham, who has, we're going to get into stats with him during the interview today, but man, those stats are unheard of, and just to see some of the old photographs of him on the front row with Jack Dawsey Junior, and it's pretty incredible, and we're going to get into a little more of the figure eight stuff in Florida towards the end of the show today, but man, it's going to be fun no matter where you race. It is the month of February, and, that means everything's kicking off in Florida. Bowman Gray's having some issues right now. They actually going to race, I believe, today if the rain holds off. Tonight, of course, on Wednesday, and to make sure they get all that. But, of course, North Carolina, South Carolina got hit with that snow. So they did everything they could at Bowman Gray. I've been in contact with their announcer, good friends of ours, and they are going to run it. They are actually going to get the rain tires out if the rain comes in, and they have to get it in because Daytona Speedweeks comes up soon. The NASCAR season getting ready to kick off. I know all four series, ARCA, Xfinity, Craftsman Trucks, and the Cup Series, all going to kick off on that Daytona, getting ready for Speedweek. So what a great first half of the show today. It's going to be a big one. We have our guest, Mr. Leonard Basham, going to join us next and to get his insights on how he started the origination of that number 9 car and all of the success he's had and, of course, those 6 championships in the Midwestern. So it's going to be fun to talk to Mr. Leonard Basham. But first, we're going to take a little bit of a break, thank our marketing partners for all that they've done for us here in 2026. We'll be back here shortly with Leonard Basham. And welcome back to the Wild Will Throwdown season number 5 here in 2026. And, of course, now on the hotline, a gentleman that everyone has been kind of asking and waiting to hear from, and a big fan of him myself, of course, Mr. Leonard Basham. And first and foremost, Leonard, before we get into the meat and potatoes, I want to first congratulate you once again on being inducted in the Kentuckiana Auto Racing Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much, Will. it's a good thing they've started down here. They started it last year, and I'm honored to be in it.
So let's first and foremost, Leonard, before we get up to the, of course, iconic Sportstrom Speedrome. Um, I know you've been around. We've talked about it before we started recording here. 42 seasons of racing. Um, Talk a little bit about how you actually began in the motorsports industry.
Well, it started in the early '70s. My ex-brother-in-law, a guy named James Taylor, it might be before your time, Will, I'm not sure, but I was part of his pit crew, and after a couple of years, he would let me take his car out and practice in it. And after a couple of years, he just pulled me aside. He said, "Man, you're as fast as I am. You need to build your own race car, dude." And so the following year, I talked to my dad, and my dad put up some money. We just rounded up some money here and there when we started racing in '76.
That's impressive. And of course, I'm guessing Sportstrom was the first place you started racing at, correct?
Yes, I raced there, like I say, from '76 um, to 1980. I won my first feature, and that was actually not at the Sportsdrome. It was up there at the Speedrome in Indianapolis.
Okay. Well, so then, of course, looking back at it, I'm looking at the stats here. Of course, this year they're celebrating the iconic 60th anniversary of the Midwestern. We are at Sportstrom Speedway. And you picked up, of course, their first Midwestern in 1981, and they kept rolling in from there. But just talk about how iconic that first Midwestern championship was.
Well, it was actually the first feature race I ever won at the Sportsdrome,
Wow.
and it was pretty neat. The fans just cheered like crazy. I had people riding on my car around the track. I wasn't sure who I was on my car, and so that was pretty cool. And actually, we came back the following week and won a second week in a row. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. The fans were cheering like crazy, and then the next week we came back, and I won 3 weeks in a row.
Wow.
I never had won there before, and some of them fans started booing, and I'm thinking, well, what's going on here? Didn't think a whole lot about it. We came back the next week, and I won 4 weeks in a row.
Whoa, they were really booing at that point, right?
They were booing me off the track, calling me a cheater and everything else. I'm like, I'm just a young guy trying to learn how to race, and like I said, I've never cheated or nothing, but I was called that because it just looked like it, I guess. But from that point on, yeah, I started winning a lot of features every year, and one thing led to another, and here we are.
Well, I mean, you look at 190, then 85, 89, 90, 92, 95, six all time right now on that list. And for the Midwesterns and celebrating 60 years this year. I mean, the longest running figure eight race in the country. And Scott and I have talked about it. I mean, looking at this big historic year. So, what made, I guess I should say, Leonard Basham to take so part in the speed drum? What was it about that track that you really liked up there?
I like competition.
Sure.
I've been competitive my whole life. Not like I said, whether it's basketball or racing a race car, or now I'm trying to play the game of golf, and I'm competitive in that too.
Sure.
But no, I mean, I just wanted to race against the best competition I could and see where I stood with them, and I kind of held my own with them guys up there, and I made a lot of good friends up there too, though, and a lot of fans. I mean, I really appreciate their fans up there. They really appreciate figure eight racing.
Well, I mean, if is there one person before we jump to Speedrome down here at Sportsdrome? Is there one competitor or a few competitors that jump out to you that you really enjoyed competing against?
Yeah, there's probably 5 or 6 of them. Bob Miller was a very hard competitor.
Sure.
Larry Harmon, Rance Harmon, John Perkins was tough. And then, like I say, from way back in the day, Bill Riley, everybody
Yes.
remembers that gentleman. And to me, he's a gentleman. And he taught me a lot. And that guy would do anything in the world for you. But I just love racing against those guys.
So then, of course, going to the 3 hour, of course, we'll look at the World 3 Hour Championship before we get into Speedrome stats. But just looking here at some of these 33 starts, of course, that is third all time. And then, of course, you picked up that exclusive 1988 World Champion up there from the Poe, I might add. Leonard, that had to be one of the most iconic wins on your list.
It was, like I say, I sat on a pole. I had probably the heaviest car in the field. I think there was 80 cars qualified.
Amazing.
I had the heaviest car there. I had a big old heavy Ford motor, but it was a pretty stout Ford motor, but obviously to set fast time. But yeah, that was the greatest thing ever happened to me. And I always tell everybody that's our Daytona of figure eight racing.
Sure. Sure, absolutely. And of course, 9 top 10 finishes, 9 qualifying race wins, most all time. And of course, everyone's happy they bringing back the qualifying races this year for the 50th. Then, of
Yeah.
course, you won 5 oval races, I believe. And then, of course, or not oval races, excuse me, there. Uh, Qualifying races, you won those. And I believe that's the most of out of towners. And this is another stat here that Scott and I gave me and told me about that I did not know. And you were the best finishing out of towner, third in 1994. So by an alternate, that is. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, what happened that year? We'd qualified a day or two before, and I'd qualified seventh, and the top 10 were locked in. Well, when it came to qualify, or last chance qualifying, I thought I was fast enough, and I set out, and I got bumped down to 13th fastest.
Oh no!
And that's how I became the third alternate. I mean, the race started, I was sitting in the pits.
Oh, that had to be a bad feeling for you.
I felt terrible,
Sure.
and I just sit there and told myself, all you got to do is go out there and just put laps down, and that's all you could do. And I didn't think there was a chance I could win, but I ended up getting third, so that wasn't too bad.
No, not at all. I mean, and then of course, looking at your just total speedrome, you have the most figure eight wins of any out of towner. It's 15. Pretty impressive. Then of course this stat stuck out to me, and I this don't mean to call you old. We don't do that. We honor. But when I saw this stat, one in figure eight in 5 different decades, that's pretty impressive.
It is, but it does say I've been around for a while, obviously.
I didn't want to phrase it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's no problem. But I didn't even keep track of it being five. I remember when they told me it was 4 different decades, and I was the only one that had ever done that. So I mean, if I'm in their record books up there somehow, that's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's an awesome stat, and of course, 7 oval wins, which a lot of people don't really talk about with these style of cars. They did do oval up there. But Leonard, is there one really couple stories that really stick out? I mean, you have a storied career. I mean, everyone can say, well, okay, it was all right. I mean, this is quite literally in our area in the figure eight ranks. A storied career. Is there any kind of stories that stick out over the years that you've had that you can remember off the top of your head?
Well, like you said, that the '88 deal was, I don't want to say it was a fluke because we were so competitive each week we raced, whether it be up there or down here. But I had a gentleman named Gary Hostetler helping me. He crew chiefed me in that 3R, and like I say, he made that car handle and drive like it never had before. And so yeah, we won that. And then you may know about it, but 2 weeks later we went down to Charlestown to Nick's. It was 388 lap races,
Uh-huh.
Nick's grand finale, and had Gary helping me again. And we kind of cleaned house down there. We won 2 of the 88 lappers and run third in one of them, and had low accumulated points. And so within a 2 week span, we won 2 big monster races.
Wow. No, I did not know that. That's pretty impressive. So now, really looking ahead, they're celebrating 50 years this year at the World 3 Hour Championship. Uh,
Yeah.
we're seeing a lot of guys come out of the retirement. Is there ever a chance to see Mr. Leonard Basham in a car one day again?
Well, it's funny you ask that. For the last 2 years, I mean, I've got a lot of friends up there at
Oh,
Speedrome, and
yes.
one of them's Danny Turner.
Oh, yes.
And 2 years ago, we run into each other. I go watch the 3R still, but Danny said something to me about driving his car like this past season.
Wow.
Well, he didn't call me. The deal didn't happen, and I run into him again up there this past 3R, and same thing. We talked again and everything, but um, it wasn't a real serious conversation. But he's the only person I'd ever talked to about getting in a car. But I'd love to, but it would have to be a good car. I wouldn't just jump in any car.
Sure.
But I still, like I said, I've been competitive my whole life. Yeah, I'll be 70 in July, but people that know me, I still feel like I'm about 40. I'm just competitive at everything I do.
Love it.
So I'm pretty sure I can still turn the wheel on a figure eight car.
Oh, it would be great to see. I was watching videos the other day of you in the kind of the later years here in 18, 19, all of that fun stuff of you competing still, low budget highlights of the pay per view stream they did, and kind of watching that. And it's funny because Dalton was talking to us here on the podcast that a guy that I posted a picture with this week, you sat on the front row with Jack Dossey's returning to a race car in Florida here in a few weeks.
I heard that.
Yes. So that kind of sparked my interest a little bit. I said, man, we're having Leonard Basham on. Maybe we could see him in a car again.
Well, I'd love to do it, but like I said, it'd take a real good car. But just a lot of people think I'm too old. I understand that, but I've been in the hospital twice, Will, and two real terrible wrecks.
Sure.
And at my age, I mean, another bad wreck, I might not heal up. I don't know, but if somebody would offer me a good ride, I'd definitely be willing to think about it and try it.
Oh, I would love to see it, and I know a lot of your fans out there would. Like I talk about, I have really never seen a fan base like you. And Harold and I've talked about it. Mike Gibson and myself has talked about it. Yes, they started hating you because you won so much. And look at Jimmy Johnson when he won 7 championships. Everyone hated him.
Right.
And that's just part of it. But the fan base that you accumulated during your tenure of those 40-something years, that has to make you feel good.
It does. I mean, to me, that's the most important thing. I mean, I love it when little kids would come want my autograph. I'm like, well, I'm nobody, but I'll love to give you my autograph.
Sure.
Just the kids are everything. And I miss that part of it too. So like I say, it's I guess it's over with. I don't think nobody's going to offer me a ride, but you never know.
Hey, and a lot of people listen to this. A lot of people are going to be listening to this. I know a lot of people are going to share this episode this week, and it's going to make them feel good and happy that you have not closed that door 100%. I know that. I've talked to people who always come up to me and ask. They knew you were going to be on the show. They were like, "You think he'll race ever again?" And I said, knowing Leonard Basham, and I saw him at the Hall of Fame ceremony, I said, he would get in a car again, I'm sure, if he was offered a ride. So I don't think that door's totally closed yet. And it's pretty cool, Leonard, that you're on here this week and you're being inducted this year into the Hall of Fame this past January, because such a historic year is being happening. And I'll talk about that in Figure 8. We are looking at 60 years of the Midwestern. We are looking at the 50th anniversary of the World 3-Hour. I mean, 1947 Sportstrom, 1941 Speedrome. It quite is impressive if you think about it.
Yes, it is. Both these tracks have been around for so long, and like I say, I just love racing up there at the Speedrome with those guys. Though I remember one time I was racing up there. Bobby Allison was there. Got to race against him, but then down here, you heard the story at Charlestown one time. I drove a guy's late model, Bill Clary's late model.
Yes.
And I asked the guy, so why do you want me to drive it? Because I don't know if you done heard the story, but he had Charlie Glotzback and Billy Howe, Mike Williams, and I don't know who all driving for him. And he could ask any of them. And I was over his shop one day, and he said, "I watched you for a couple of years, Leonard." And said, "All I'm gonna tell you is I think you're a hell of a driver."
Wow.
And I was a young man then, and my head swelled up. Sure it did. And but anyway, we went over there and we took the car out and we practiced it. The car didn't have brakes worth a dime. We worked on and worked on and worked on, but it ended up I qualified outside the front row beside Mike Waltrip. And I've never been a late model driver, but I led the first 15 laps for somebody come up there behind. I couldn't get the car in the turn like I wanted to because of the brakes, and I just got punted. And after the race guy told me to go back to Figure 8 where I belong. Like, the car had brakes, I'd probably half tracked them.
Well,
But that was a good story, and I appreciated that opportunity for Mr. Clary to ask me to drive his car because, like I say, he had some of the best late model drivers in this part of the country driving for him.
yeah, it truly is. I mean, remarkable the amount of talent that's came from, of course, Indiana being the racing capital state of the world. I mean, you look at the tracks and everything that's developed, and oval racers, dirt racers, Figure 8 racers, of course, and it quite is impressive. But Leonard, once again, I can't thank you for taking the time to come on with us this week. Truly was a great interview and to give some people some insight on your storybooked career.
Well, appreciate you having me on, Will. Hope everybody enjoys it.
And welcome back to the Wild Will Throwdown season number 5 here in 2026, and that was Leonard Basham. And Harold Adams, you and I, we've talked to him at the Kentuckiana Auto Racing Hall of Fame, and what a legend he is.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I know you didn't realize it, but he had a lot of fans, and evidently still does have a lot of fans. A lot of people interested in that interview. And I tell you what, I was one of his biggest fans too growing up. I mean, I followed the old modified figure eights at Sportsdrome, and of course the 3-iron up at Speedrome. And Leonard was one of my favorite drivers. I mean, he always was kind of a Ford guy, and so was I. So it kind of lead me that way. And I tell you what, he was one really, really talented driver in his day.
Yeah, no doubt. And, of course, Dalton, you being younger, but you always heard of course, Leonard Basham, and you always refer back to the incident with Garrigus. And, man, that was quite intense. But, man, what a legend.
Yeah, literally a legend. I mean, he's done it all in the sport of figure eight. I can't remember the exact year. It was one of my first 3 hours I ever went to when they were pushing the cars out on the grid and stuff. And I obviously knew of Leonard Basham and who he was, but just the fan base of the people cheering in the stands and stuff when he was rolling his car by to the grid, it really, he does have a huge fan base. It was crazy to see.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible, really, on what he's done. And, man, it'll be interesting to see, who's going to be the next to rack up those the Midwestern wins we talked about. Of course, Mark Tunney, your defending champion 2025 at Sportstrom Speedway. So it's going to be interesting. But now, towards the end of the show here, we're going to kind of jump back on the Florida week. Not really kind of talking just about figure eight racing, because it is now almost speed weeks. And basically what that means is it kind of all started with NASCAR at Daytona. Of course, you used to have the Bud Light clashes there and all of that stuff, but you still have the 2 qualifying races. Of course, then you have single car qualifying for the Daytona 500, and then, of course, you have your O'Reilly Auto Parts Xfinity Series, but O'Reilly Auto Parts Series now, which is the old Xfinity Series. Then you have the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, of course, the ARCA Menards Series. So they're going to be down there, but kind of every short track series almost kind of migrated to Florida around that. And, of course, it all started at Volusia kind of with the Dirt Car Nationals. And right now you have the modifieds down there. You have the sprint cars. You'll have the World of Outlaw late models. I mean, we just saw the World of Outlaw late models and powered by Dirt Vision. So you're seeing a lot of different racing series down there. And, of course, you go down and look at New Smyrna, getting ready for the modifieds on the asphalt, the late models, super late models, everything in that nature. Then you have Alltech in Florida. You have, of course, the figure eight tracks, Auburndale Citrus. You have Showtime. It's just kind of a basis of that. And, of course, next week's guest is going to be joining us here, Ben Harmon. He's down there racing right now at Volusia. So keep an eye on that, the dirt car modified driver from down the road in Brooks, Kentucky. Of course, his father, proud sponsor of the show, Kentucky Clutch and Performance. He'll be on next week with us, giving his insight. Maybe another guest or so. We'll have to see how next week goes. We have big guests, of course, all season long here on the Wild Will Throwdown podcast. Promoters, drivers, crews. It doesn't really matter. So it's really cool to see. But, Dalton, seeing right now ramping up down there, dirt cars and the Dirt Car Nationals, they're taken to the stage in Florida.
Yeah, me and my family have been sitting on the couch about every night watching those things. So it's crazy. Yeah, you said they have like 93, 95 dirt modifieds or something that registered for today. So that's just, it's crazy how many dirt cars and dirt in general, late models, mods, street stocks. It's just thriving because of, and we've talked about it multiple times, the rule package. It's all the same rule packages all over the country, so it makes car counts thrive everywhere.
Sure, absolutely. And I know, Harold, you and I have visited Volusia Speedway down there before, and that is a pretty impressive track.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of neat too. That was a few years ago. I guess we was part of the Speed Weeks because we went down to Volusia, checked it out before we went over to Auburndale Speedway for the figure eights down there. But I was very impressed with Volusia. That was a really awesome experience.
Yeah, it was great. Everyone was great there. Of course, the Gator Pond, that was always fun. But now they've had everything this week from winds flipping race cars possibly almost, to having to postpone, to cold fronts coming in, very cold in Florida, to warming finally back up. So getting ready, of course, the figure 8 cars will be taking the stage. They'll go down, and of course, more series in the dirt ramp up a little more. So, and then of course, the iconic Daytona 500 comes up here shortly. Like we said, tonight they're going to try to get the Busch Light Clash. I don't think it's called the Busch Light Clash anymore. I think it's just called the Clash at Bowman Gray. But man, Florida's the place to be. As you see, North Carolina getting pummeled with snow, and then of course rain today. So that'll be interesting to see how the Bowman Gray gets all of that done. But yeah, you mentioned figure 8, and of course, one driver I want to talk about, Dalton, and of course Kevin and I have talked about this. He said it's not a secret anymore. Another legend, Jack Dawsey, coming out of retirement there, and that's pretty cool. You're going to be down there around that.
Yeah, we're gonna run Auburndale with him, so it'll be pretty cool being on the sidelines, just watching old legends do his stuff. So it'll be pretty fun.
Yeah, I know you know who Jack Dawsey is, right, Harold Adams?
Yeah, he's always been one of my favorites also. Always enjoyed watching Jack. I mean, he's basically balls to the wall. You know, it's all Rickers or checkers with him.
Yeah, no doubt. And of course, now, JD3, watching Jack Dawsey, getting to know him really well at the Circle City Raceway when I was director of operations. So really cool to see the legends coming back, and of course, leading all season long up to, of course, that big 50th annual World Figure 8 Championship. And I know keep an eye on that Scott and I's podcast. He's doing great things. Live podcast every Wednesday. Another one going to drop today. World Figure 8 Wednesdays. All about the history of the World Figure 8 Championship and what they do. And I'm excited to be a part of the broadcast team again this year in September. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 days this year. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Of course, legends and whatnot kick it off on Wednesday. So it's going to be even a longer time. I love that. The more racing, the better to me. So I'm excited for that. But, man, what a great show today. I want to thank, of course, our co-host again for coming on each and every week. I want to thank, of course, our special guest, Mr. Legend himself, Leonard Basham, for coming on. Such a great interview. And, of course, looking ahead, getting ready for Florida Speed Weeks. Race season's just right around the corner. And here in the Midwest, we'll be ramping up practice here soon in the month of March. So, as for me, my name is Will Greenwell, and I will see you around the turn.